Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to our 14th lecture of MTH 108 Business Math 1. Today we will continue with our chapter 6, which is about quadratic and polynomial functions. In our last two lectures, we have seen that why do we need a nonlinear function? That is, in many real world problems, there exist the situations which cannot be expressed as a linear function or approximated by a linear function. So definitely, to solve these real world problems, we need a nonlinear function. The simplest one or the simplest option is to approximate these functions by quadratic function. So the question arises that can these real world problems be estimated by a quadratic function or not? If they can, we are very happy because we have much information about the quadratic functions. In our quadratic functions, we are mainly interested in the graphical representation. We have many tools to represent our quadratic functions. In chapter 4, we have studied that if we are given a second degree equation or a quadratic function, then we can plot the graph of this function by taking some particular values of the input. We will obtain the corresponding values of the output, and we will simply plot these points on our graph, and we will obtain the graph of our quadratic function. But this method is not so convenient. For example, if our domain is the set of whole reals, then we have to consider some positive values, some negative values, and if the values are coming in ratios or in fractions, then we will be lost in selecting or pointing out the points on the graph, these coordinates on the graph. So the simplest is that we find the concavity. So the graph of a quadratic function is always a curve and not a straight line. This thing we know. And the graph is known as a parabola. Okay. Then in order to give the graph of a quadratic function, we have to know some properties of parabola. One property of parabola is the concavity. That is, from which side our curve is open and from which side it is closed. To find the concavity, it is very easy. In particularly concavity, we can decide that if the graph is open from the top and closed from the bottom, the graph will be concave up, and if the graph is closed from the top and open from the bottom, then the graph will be concave down. Okay. Then we have also seen that what do we mean by the intercepts of our quadratic function. That is the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Next thing about the property of parabola was the vertex of the parabola. That which point on the graph represents the vertex and what is the importance of this vertex. And finally, the last property which helps us in sketching the graph of a quadratic function was the axis of symmetry. Okay. Then to find the concavity, what we have done, we have simply determined the sign of the coefficient of x square or t square or the constant occurring with the highest power, which is x square of the independent variable. If the sign is positive, the graph will be concave up, that is open from top. If the sign is negative, the graph will be concave down, that is open from bottom. Then we have seen that how we can find the y-intercept of our quadratic function. To find the y-intercept is similar to finding the y-intercept for a linear function. That is, we simply put x is equals to 0 and the resultant value we obtained is, and the number we obtained is basically the y-intercept. Then The next thing was to find the x-intercepts. Intercepts means that we have three possibilities of having the x-intercept of a quadratic function. Either there's only one x-intercept, or there are two x-intercepts of a quadratic function, or there exists no x-intercept. That is, the graph does not cross the x-axis at all. Now, to find the x-intercept, we put the value of the dependent variable y is equals to 0, and we solve our quadratic equation, which we have already done in our first chapter when we were solving our second degree equations. Okay. There we have seen that we have used two methods to solve our second degree equation to find the roots of our given equation. First by using the factorization method, and second by using the quadratic formula. Exactly the same thing we are doing here, that to find the x-intercepts or to find the roots of our quadratic equation, we will find the roots either by using the factorization method or by using the quadratic formula. Here we have also three possibilities, that either we have two distinct real roots, which means that the graph intersects the x-axis at two different points, or we have one real root, which means that the graph intersects the x-axis only at one point, or we obtain no real root, which means that the graph does not cross the x-axis at all. Then we have seen that how we can find the vertex of a given quadratic function. We can find the vertex either by using the formula for the x coordinate and for the y coordinate. That is, the formula for x coordinate is minus b over 2a, and the formula for y coordinate is 4ac minus b square over 4a. Or we can also find the vertex by knowing the x-intercepts of our quadratic function. If we know the x-intercepts of our quadratic function, we can find the x-coordinate of the vertex very easily depending on the types of x-intercepts. That is, either we have one x-intercept or we have two x-intercepts. Okay. To find the y-coordinate, we also have two options, either by using the formula, which I have just said, or by evaluating the function at the value of the x-coordinate of the vertex. Okay. Once we know the vertex of our quadratic function or the point, from there we can easily find the axis of symmetry, that is the vertical line passing through the vertex, and this axis of symmetry basically divides our parabola in two equal halves. In our last lecture, we have also seen that what do we mean by the symmetry of graphs, about the y-axis, about the x-axis, and about the origin, and how we can identify that the given graph is symmetric about the y-axis, about the x-axis, or about the origin. So this was all the review of what we have done in our last two lectures. What we will do today, we will solve the real world phenomenon using the quadratic functions, and we will sketch the parabolas for these quadratic functions. That is, basically we are provided with a real world problem, and first we will find the quadratic function approximating that real world problem, and then once we have the quadratic function representing that real world problem, we can easily sketch the parabola, or we can easily sketch the graph of that quadratic function by knowing the tools which we have done in our last two lectures, that is by finding the concavity, y-intercept, x-intercept, and the vertex. For example, consider a function p equals to 2q square, and we are interested in sketching the graph of this quadratic function. Then first we will rewrite our function in the standard form, which is 2q square plus 0q plus c. Comparing it with the general form, we obtain A is equals to 2, B is equals to 0, oh, this should be 0 here, and C is also equals to 0. Okay, now first we have to identify or find the concavity of our graph. Since A is equals to 2, which is positive, the graph will be concave up. Very simple. Next step is to find the p-intercepts. Here P is our dependent variable and Q is our independent variable. Okay, to find the p-intercept, okay, what we do, we simply put the value of independent variable equals to 0, that is, we will put Q equals to 0, and by putting Q equals to 0 in our given quadratic function, what do we obtain? We obtain P also equals to 0. So our p-intercept is nothing but the origin 0, 0. Okay, then we have to find the q-intercept. Our given equation was P is equals to 2q square. To find the q-intercept, we have to put the value of dependent variable equals to 0, which means that P is equals to 0. What do we obtain? We obtain 2q square is equals to 0. Definitely 2 cannot be equals to 0. So q square is 0 and we obtain basically q is equals to 0. So in this case we have our q-intercept as one point, which is origin. Now the last thing is the vertex. Okay, we will find the vertex by using our x-intercept. If you remember our last lecture, we have seen that if the x-intercept is 1, or if the quadratic function has one x-intercept, then the vertex will be that point, or the x-coordinate of the vertex will be that point. So the x-coordinate in this case will be 0. Our vertex is exactly the point. Okay, we can also find the coordinates of the vertex by using the formula. This should be q instead of x. By using the formula, for q we have minus b over 2a, okay, which is equals to b is 0q and c is also 0. So b is 0 over 2, which is 0, and p is 4ac minus b square over 4a, which is c is 0, b is 0 divided by 4, which is 0, and we obtain our vertex as the origin. So if the quadratic equation has one x-intercept, origin, that x-intercept is basically the vertex. And now we can easily sketch the graph of our given quadratic function p is equals to 2q square. If we look at our equation, we can identify that the given equation is nothing but our general quadratic equation, simplest one, y is equals to x square with some multiple 2, which means that the graph will be much similar to y is equals to x square. Okay, the graph passes through the origin as q-intercept, as p-intercept, as the vertex, and the graph is concave up, means open from the top. So the graph will be passing through the origin, and what do we obtain? Just extended it this way and this way. We obtain p is equals to 2 q square. What will be the axis of symmetry in this case? Very simple. This y-axis will be the axis of symmetry, and the graph is symmetric about which axis? The graph is symmetric about y-axis. Okay, symmetric about y-axis. Okay, what will be the range of this function, of this quadratic function? The range of this quadratic function will be, we can easily determine the range of the quadratic function from our, by looking at our graph, that the domain is the set of all reals. Okay, first we write the domain. Domain is the set of all reals, that is, all real values are allowed to take the value as an input value. And what are the output values, or in other words, what is the range? Range is, by looking at the graph, is nothing but the positive real line. That is, there is no value of p which is negative. All the values are equal to 0 or greater than 0. So the range is nothing but the positive real line. Okay, what is the minimum point or the maximum point of the function? Since the graph is concave up, we will obtain the lowest point, that is the lower bound. This point 0, 0, the minimum value of y is the minimum point. Okay. Now with this simple example, we have revised all the things which we have studied in our last 2 lectures. That is basically how we, given a quadratic function, how we can sketch the graph of our quadratic function. Okay. Now we come to some word problems. Okay, consider the figure which shows the increase in the average player's salary of cricket players. Okay, for this first we have to draw the figure. Okay, here we have 1981, 82, 83, 84, 85, 6, 7, 8, 89, and continuing further 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, and we erase this extra line, extra horizontal line. Oops, it erased all of it. Doesn't matter, we will draw it again. So this is our x-axis, and our y-axis is, let's say this is 300, this is 600, and this will be around somewhere 150. We have this point which is 1981 and 190. Okay, we have point 1985 and 310. We have this point. We have 1988 and 600. And we will connect these points, these 3 points. Okay, so this figure shows the increase in the average player's salary of cricket players, and we are asked to approximate the salary data by using a quadratic function. We are given 3 points on our graph, and with the help of these 3 points we are asked to find the quadratic function approximating this salary data. Okay, now we read further. What are the details given? That for the years 1981, 1985 and 1988, the average player salaries were 1,90,000, 3,10,000 and 6 lakh respectively. Using these data points, we want to determine the quadratic function which can be used to estimate average player salaries over time. Okay, in particular what we are interested in, that if there is a quadratic function which passes through these 3 data points, can we find a quadratic function which approximates this salary data, or does there exist a quadratic function whose graph passes through these given points? Or in particular, if there is a parabola which passes through these points 1981 190, 1985 310 and 1988 600, does there exist a parabola or not? If such a parabola exists, which means that we can approximate our real world problem to the quadratic function, and once we have a quadratic function we can easily sketch the graph. Okay, in particular we want to determine what the quadratic function S is equals to function of t, which is equals to a t square plus b t plus c. In particular, we want to determine the quadratic function S is equals to f of t, which is a t square plus b t plus c, where what is S? S is the average player salary and t is time in years, measured in years, since when? Since 1981, the minimum year given, since 1981. T is the time measured in years and S is the average player salary defined in terms of time function, where time function is starting from 1981. Okay, so in particular we have to find the values of A, B and C if possible, so that the given function represents the average player salary in terms of time. Or does such a function exist is equivalent to asking that does there exist a value of A, B and C which satisfy the definition of quadratic function or not. Now, how we will proceed? We have to find the values of our A, B and C. We may rewrite our salary function in terms of time as A t square plus B t plus C. Definitely, if we are able to find the values of A, B and C which are constants, then the value of A should be different from 0. If we obtain the values such that A is equals to 0, then we will obtain in fact a linear function estimating our salary function. Okay, how we will proceed? We are given the value of time t starting from 1981. That is, if we look at our graph, this is our time t and this is our salary S. Okay, We have rescaled our salary in smaller values, and in the case of time, the independent variable, we have started it from 1981, which means that we have some clue to find the values of our constants A, B and C using our 3 data points. Okay, what do? We redefine time t as t starting from 0. How? If you look at our graph of our data set, the smallest value of year is 1981. So the data is given from 1981. So we may assume that at the year 1981, the time was 0. In the next year, 1982, time was 1 year or equal to 1. And so on. Let's say in 1983 the value of t or time is equals to 2, and so on. At 1985 the value of t will be, what would be your guess? Simply calculate it, and the value of t will be equals to 4. Okay, and 1988 the value of t will be equals to 7. So we have redefined our time by putting t equals to 0 to the smallest year, and then for every 1 year we are defining t equals to 1 for 1983, 2 and so on. Now what we are required to find this quadratic equation? What is our need? To find the parameters A, B and C. Okay, to find the parameters A, B and C, we will use our 3 data points. The 3 data points were, one in terms of time and salary. Definitely independent function is time and dependent function is salary. So the 3 data points will be 3 data points in terms of time and 3 data points in terms of salary. So the 3 years are 1981, 1985 and 1988. So the 3 data points will be for 1981 t is 0. Okay, 1985 t is 4. 1988, this should be 8. 1988 t is 7. What were the salaries in these years? 1,90,000, 3,10,000 and 6 lakh. That is 190, 310 and 600. So now we have 3 data points and we have to find the values of 3 parameters A, B and C. So let's see how we will proceed. Okay, we want to identify the values of A, B and C appearing in our quadratic equation AT square plus BT plus C. We have 3 data points 0, 190, 4, 310, 7, 600. What we will do? The first one represents the value of time in our ordered pair. The second value represents the value of the salary. Okay, same is the case with 2 other data points. We will put the value of these 3 data points in our standard form of the salary function. What do we obtain? When time was 0, okay, for 0, 190, we obtain when time was 0, S will be equals to C our salary function was 190. 190 is equals to S is equals to C. So we obtained the value of one parameter C. Okay. Using our second data point, when time was 4, salary was 310, we obtain is 310 is equals to A into T square. 4 square is 16A plus 4B plus C. We may call it our equation 1, 2, and now using our last data point, when time was 7, the salary was 600, we obtained 7 square is 49A plus 7B plus C. So now we have 3 equations and 3 unknowns, and we have already done this in our chapter 3, where we have solved the system of linear equations. Look carefully, all the 3 equations are linear equations. None of them is a quadratic equation. So 3 unknowns A, B and C and 3 equations, and we can easily find the solution of A, B and C in this case. In fact, if we look at our equation 1, we already know the value of the parameter C, which is equals to 190. What we will do further, we have our value of C equals to 190, and we will put the value of C, the known parameter, in our equation 2 and 3. Okay, our equation 2 was 310 is equals to 16A plus 4B plus C, and C is 190. We obtain 310 is equals to 16A plus 4B plus 190. Similarly, we will put the value of C in our equation 3, which is 600 is equals to 49A plus 7B plus C, which is 190. Okay, now this is our equation 4 and 5. What will be our next step? We will simplify these equations 4 and 5 by taking 190 on the left side, or by subtracting 190 from both sides. We obtain 120 is equals to 16A plus 4B, and here we obtain 410 is equals to 49A plus 7B. We may call this equation as 4 star and this one as 5 star. Okay, now if we look carefully at our 2 new equations, 4 star and 5 star, we have 2 equations and 2 unknowns, namely A and B. So it is a system of 2 linear equations and in 2 unknowns, and we have clearly solved this in our chapter 3. Here we will not use our Gauss method. In fact, we will only use our elimination method, which is easy. How? We have to multiply our equation 4. Okay, we want to eliminate B first. Then we have to multiply our equation 4 star by 7 and 5 star by 4, and then subtracting each other. But before multiplying our equation 4 star by 7 and 5 star by 4, if we look carefully, we can simplify this equation as by taking 4 common throughout, we obtain 30 is equals to 4A plus B. So this is our equation 6. Now we have taken out 4 common from our equation 4 star to simplify it, and we are left with 30 is equals to 4A plus B. And now we will multiply our equation 6 by 7. Multiply equation 6 by 7. What do we obtain? 210 is equals to 28A plus 7B. Our equation 5 star is 49A plus 7b. And now we can easily subtract these equations. We have eliminated b. The value of a will be equals to 21a with minus sign, and here we have obtained 200 again with the minus sign, and the value of a will be equals to, dividing both sides by minus 21, we obtain 9.523. Okay, so now we have find the value of our parameter a, which is different from 0. So the resulting function will be a quadratic function. We already know the value of c, which is equals to 190, and now only one thing is left, that is to find the value of the parameter b. Now we know the value of parameters a and c, and we will put these values in any of the three equations, and we will find the value of our parameter b. Okay, we will use our this equation, simplified one. 30 is equals to 4a plus b. Okay, 30 is equals to 4 into 9.52 plus b, and after simplifying we obtain b is equals to minus 8.095. So now we have the values of all the three parameters a, b and c, and we can easily write our celery function in terms of time as at square, which is 9.52 t square, plus b into t, which is minus 8.095 into t, plus c, which is 190. So this is our celery function representing the average player's salary. If we look at this quadratic function, what is the value of a? It is 9.52, which is positive. So the graph will be concave up. Okay. What is the y-intercept? The y-intercept or the s-intercept in this case is 0, 190. So given three data points, we can find the quadratic function, that is by finding the values of the parameters a, b and c. And how we can find the values of these three parameters a, b and c? We have redefined our time function, that is by starting t equals to 0 with the lowest year 1981, and with the help of these three data points we have formed three linear equations in three unknowns, and by solving these three equations simultaneously we will obtain the values of the parameters a, b and c. Simply putting these recently found values in our quadratic function, general form of the quadratic function, we will obtain our required quadratic function. Now we are further asked to use this function to estimate the average salary in 1995. Okay, first thing which we have to calculate is what will be the value of time t in the year 1995 according to our rescaling. We have to look back at our slides. Okay, now when at 1981 time was 0, so we look at our graph. At 1988 this was 7, 8 and counting so on, we see that the value of t is actually 14 for the year 1995. So 1995 corresponds to t equals to 14, and we have to find the value of the function which estimates the average salary in 1995, this particular year. That is, we have the value of our independent variable, and by putting the value of this independent variable in our quadratic function, we will find the value of the average salary. That is, S will be equals to f of t, function of time, equals to 9.52 into 14 square minus 8.095 into 14 plus 190. And after simplifying, we obtain the salary function as 1943.36. So in the year 1995, the salary will increase to 1943.36, whatever the currency is. So now we can see that given a real world phenomenon, how we can translate our real world phenomenon by using our quadratic function. How we can approximate our real world phenomenon by using our quadratic function. That is, we redefine our time and salary. We obtain 3 data points. With the help of these 3 data points, we actually obtain 3 linear equations in 3 unknowns. We will solve these 3 linear equations in 3 unknowns simultaneously, and we will find the values of the parameters a, b and c occurring in the general form of our quadratic function. We will put these values in our general form and we will obtain our required quadratic function. In the next example, we are also given the 3 data points and we are asked to determine the equation of the quadratic function which passes through the points 0, 10, 1, 6 and minus 2, 24. We are given 3 data points and we are asked to find the quadratic equation estimating these 3 data points, or the parabola which passes through these 3 data points. So how we will proceed? Here we don't need to redefine our time function or rescale our salary function. If y is our required quadratic form with the general form ax square plus bx plus c, then our first point is our coordinate 0, 10, that is when x is equals to 0, y is equals to 10, we obtain 10 is equals to c. By putting the value of x equals to 0 and value of y is equals to 10, we obtain 10 is equals to c. Okay, our first equation already giving the value of our one parameter c. Now our second data point 1, 6, which means that the value of y is 6 and the value of x is 1. We obtain a, 1 square is 1, plus b plus c. Okay, and now we will put the value of c is equals to 10 in our equation. We obtain c is equals 6 is equals to a plus b plus 10. Simplifying gives us a plus b is equals to minus 4. Now we will use our third and last data point, that is when y is equals to 24, the value of x is minus 2, minus 2 square is 4a, minus 2b plus c, which is 10. Simplifying gives 14 is equals to 4a minus 2b. Now we have 2 equations and 2 unknowns a and b, 2 linear equations in 2 unknowns, and we can solve these 2 linear equations simultaneously simply by multiplying our first equation by 2. We obtain 2a plus 2b is minus 4 and 14 is equals to 4a minus 2b. Adding, b cancels out. 6a is equals to, by multiplying the first equation by 2, so the constant will be changed to minus 8. Adding, we obtain the constant as 6 and the value of a is equals to 1. Last thing which we have to find is the value of the parameter b. Simply by putting the value of a in our this equation, a plus b is equals to minus 4 gives b is equals to minus 4 minus a. B is equals to minus 4 minus a, which is equals to minus 4 minus 1, which is minus 5. Okay. So our given quadratic function will be y is equals to a is 1 x square plus b minus 5x and plus c, which is 10. So this is our given quadratic function when we are provided with 3 data points. Okay, so now we solve one more question of this type. We are asked to find the equation of the quadratic function which passes through the points 1 minus 1, minus 3, minus 33, 2, minus 8. Again we have 3 data points and we have to find the quadratic function or the parabola which passes through these points. If we look closely at this set of data points, and the set of data points we have solved earlier in our 2 examples. Okay, let's go back to our slides. In our previous example, one data point was basically the y-intercept. In our salary example, our one data point when time was equals to 0 was our basically y-intercept. So it was very easy for us to find the value of the parameter c immediately by using our first data point in the salary function and in our second example, this one. Just by putting the value of the first data set, we immediately obtain the value of the parameter c. But here we have 3 data points, but none of them is either an x-intercept or a y-intercept, which means that we have to do a bit more work in this case to find the values of our parameters a, b and c. Okay, what will be the general form of our required quadratic function will be equals to ax square plus bx plus c. By using our first data set, which is 1 minus 1, we obtain y is minus 1, x square will be 1a plus b plus c. Using our second data set, minus 3 minus 33 gives us y is minus 33. Minus 3 square is 9, we obtain 9a, and we also get an unwanted horizontal line. Okay, we obtain 9a plus bx, which is minus 3b plus c. By using our last data point, 2 minus 8 gives us what? Y is equals to minus 8, which is equals to 2 square is 4a plus 2b plus c. We have 3 equations and 3 unknowns. Okay, either we will solve them simultaneously by using the elimination method or by using the substitution method. Now if we rewrite our equations as 1 minus A minus B is equals to C, minus 33 minus 9A plus 3B is equals to C, minus 8 minus 4A minus 2B is equals to C, and we name them as equation 1, equation 2 and equation 3. Okay, now all these three equations are equal to the parameter C. Then by substitution we can equate these equations, reduce to two parameters A and B, and then we will solve them. Equating equation 1 and 2. Equating equation 1 and 2, we obtain 1 minus A minus B is equals to minus 33 minus 9A plus 3B. Okay, simplifying, we obtain 32 is equals to minus 8A minus 4B. Or now we have this equation, or we will write it as 32 plus 8A plus 4B is equals to C or 0. This is for you to think. Now we will equate our resultant equation with our third equation. We obtain 32 plus 8A plus 4B is equals to minus 8 minus 4A minus 2B. Okay, now from both the equations we can take some number common. From here, from the left side, if we take 4 as common, we obtain 8 plus 2A plus B, and taking 2 common from the right side, we obtain minus 4 minus 2A minus B. Now this 2 cancels out and here remains 2. Okay, now we have two equations and two unknowns, namely first is 16 plus, multiplying this 2 inside, plus 4A plus 2B is equals to 0, and minus 4 minus 2A minus B is equals to 0, and we will erase this horizontal line. Perfect, and we continue further. Minus 4 minus 2A minus B is equals to 0. Now we have two equations, two unknowns, two linear equations in two unknowns A and B. How we will solve? By elimination, multiplying the second equation by 2, we obtain minus 8 minus 4A minus 2B is equals to 0, and the first one we write 16 plus 4A, there is some plus minus mistake, 32 plus 8A, and it should be minus 4B. Here we have plus 4B, and here we have minus 4B. Okay, you have to correct it everywhere. This is minus B, multiplying by this we obtained 16 plus 4A minus 2B, and minus 4 minus 2A minus B minus 8 minus 4A minus 2B. Okay, plus 4a minus 2b equals to 0, and this equation minus 8 minus 4a minus 2b equals to 0. And now simply by adding, we have eliminated a. We obtain, what do we get? 8 minus 8 minus 4b is equals to 0. 8 is equals to 4b and b is equals to 2. Okay, now we have to find the values of a and c as well. There was some plus minus mistake and now we have corrected it. We obtained two linear equations in two unknowns a and b. Solving them simultaneously, we have eliminated a and we obtained the value of b is equals to 2. Or this is not included. This is here we have a minus sign, here a minus sign, here a minus sign, and here as well, and the rest is the same. Now we have to find the values of a and c. We will put the value of b in any of the equation and then we will obtain the value of a and c. Our first equation was minus 1 is equals to a plus b plus c. Now b is equals to 2, we obtain minus 1 is equals to a plus 2 plus c, and we obtain minus 3 is equals to a plus c. Okay. Putting the value of b is equals to 2 in our second equation, which was minus 33 is equals to 9a minus 6 plus c, where we have, here we had 3b minus 3b, and by putting b is equals to 2 we obtain minus 6. Okay, and simplifying we obtain minus 27 is equals to 9a plus c. This is nothing but equals to what? By taking 9 common, or first we will equate these two equations. We obtain minus 3 is equals to a plus c. Subtracting them, c is eliminated out, and what do we obtain? Or by elimination we can also solve these two equations by substitution. That is minus 3 minus a is equals to c, and we have minus 27 minus 9a is equals to c. Equating we obtain minus 3 minus a is equals to minus 27 minus 9a, or both equal to 0. 9a, we obtain the value of a is equals to minus 3. Now we will put the value of a and b in our first equation. Minus 1 is equals to a plus b plus c. Minus 1 is equals to minus 3 plus 2 plus c. Minus 1 is equals to minus 1 plus c, and c is equals to 0. So given a quadratic equation or given a 3 points, we can find the quadratic equation simply by y is equals to minus 3x square plus 2x plus 0, which is equals to c. So what we have done here, we have done basically our method in the reverse order. What do we mean by the reverse order? that we are given some data set, some points, 3 points of independent variables, and using these 3 points we are asked to find the quadratic equation satisfying these 3 points. Earlier what we were doing, we were given with the quadratic equation with the values of parameters a, b and c as constants, and by using the techniques of sketching the parabola we find the x-intercept, y-intercept and vertex of this parabola, in particular of the given quadratic function. That is, we obtain 3 data points giving us the values of independent variable and the dependent variable, and then we sketch it. Now we know these 3 points, which can be any point here, not necessarily the intercepts or the vertex, but these points can be any points, and from these 3 points we have to generate our quadratic function satisfying these 3 points, or the graph or parabola which passes through these 3 points. So what type of equation we obtained? Y is equals to minus 3x square plus 2x. Okay, now we have one value as 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, that is when x is 1, y is minus 1. By putting the values on the right side, what do we obtain? Minus 3, 1 square is 1, plus 2, which is equals to minus 1. So first set of data point satisfies our quadratic equation or quadratic function which we have found by using these 3 data points. Second point was when x is minus 3, y was minus 33. So we will put the value of x in our equation. Minus 3 into minus 3 square is 9, plus 2 into minus 3. Simplifying, we obtain minus 27 minus 6, which is minus 33. Okay, the last one when x is equals to 2 and y is equals to minus 8. So minus 3 into 2 square is 4, plus 2 into 2, we obtain minus 12 plus 8 plus 4, which is equals to minus 8. So all the 3 data points satisfy the quadratic function which we have obtained by knowing these 3 data points. Okay, what will be the, if we are asked to plot this quadratic equation, because now we have the equation, we have the data points, we can sketch the graph. What will be the concavity first? The concavity will be concave down, because a is equals to minus 3, which is negative. So the graph will be concave down. Okay, what will be the y-intercept? That is when x is equals to 0, y is equals to 0. So y-intercept is the origin. Okay. Now about the x-intercept, that is when y is equals to 0. We have to solve this quadratic equation, which we can do easily by factorizing. That is, taking x common, we obtain minus 3x plus 2 equals to 0, and the value of x is equals to 0 and the value of x is equals to 2 by 3. So our x-intercept is, do we have 2 intercepts or 1? 1 is the origin, which is nothing but the y-intercept, and the second one is 2 by 3, 0. And the last thing is the vertex. The vertex will be equals to, for the x coordinate we will use x coordinate the midpoint, that is 2 by 3 plus 0 divided by 2, that is 2 by 6, which is 1 by 3. And for the y coordinate we have f of 1 by 3, which is equals to minus 3 into 1 by 9 plus 2 by 3. We obtain minus 1 by 3 plus 2 by 3, which is equals to 1 by 3. So the vertex is 1 by 3, 1 by 3, and the graph will be concave down. Origin is 1 point, okay. Second point is our vertex, that is, let's say, this point, 1 by 3, 1 by 3. We have no other information. Then we will use the information of these three data points, that is, when x is 1, y is minus 1, somewhere here. When x is minus 3, y is minus 33. Here, when x is 2, minus 3 and minus 33, it should be on this side. When x is 2, y is minus 8. Here, this point is not included. And okay, we connect this point slowly and slowly, passing through the origin. Now the vertex and a curve, this tip curve this point and this point. If we plot here, this is also not included. Plot here and then connecting and continuing. So this is our vertex line, vertical line passing through the vertex is the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry, and this is concave down. And what other information we have? The highest point is this, that is, the highest value of y, or the dependent variable y, is when y is equals to 1 by 3, or when x is equals to 1 by 3, the highest point is also 1 by 3. So this is the highest point, and we erase this line, this unwanted line, write it again. And done. Okay, so with this we end our today's lecture. In our today's lecture we have seen that how we can rephrase our real world problem in the form of a quadratic function. In particular, given a real world phenomenon, how we can estimate it with the help of a quadratic function. We have seen 3 examples where we were given 3 data points in all the 3 examples, and with the help of these 3 data points we have calculated our we have determined our quadratic function representing these three data points, or in particular the parabola which passes through these three data points. Okay, in our first example, we were given with the y-intercept, so it was very easy to find the value of the parameter c. Okay. And how we do it? We use our data points and put these in our general form of the quadratic equation. Then we obtain three equations in three unknowns a, b and c, and we have to find the values of these three unknowns a, b and c. In our first two examples, we were given with one point as the y-intercept. In that case, when we put that point in our general form, we obtain our value of c equals to that intercept, which makes the things easy. Okay, then we are left with to find the values of the parameters a and b, and using the value of c in the rest of the two equations, we are left with two equations in two unknowns a and b. Solving them simultaneously, we obtain the values of a and b. Now we put all the three values a, b and c in our general form, and we find the required quadratic formula which estimates our real world phenomenon. In our third example, we were not provided with one point or any point as a y-intercept. In fact, we were provided with 3 points, 1 minus 1, minus 3 minus 33 and 2 minus 8. Okay, in this case we were obtaining three different equations, three linear equations in three unknowns a, b and c. In this case, we were not lucky to obtain the value of c immediately, so we have to solve these three linear equations in three unknowns a, b and c simultaneously. From there we obtain the values of a, b and c, and we will put them again in our general form, and from there we obtain our desired quadratic function which estimates our real world phenomenon. With this we end our today's lecture, and in our next lecture we will study some more applications of quadratic functions, and we will also study about polynomial functions and rational functions. With this we end our today's lecture. Allah Hafiz, students.